let's talk about the Mackie ProFX12v3. And of course, first things first, we're going to talk about this case. Because I always say if Mackie does one thing right, it is their cases. I feel like not only do I think they have the best cases in the business, they make cases for everything. And you can't say that with a lot of manufacturers. I own a Yamaha analog mixer because I was going with the ProFX8v2s, and then I thought, well, I'll try Yamaha. Yamaha doesn't make any cases for their mixers, so I had to buy a Gator case, and it doesn't really fit in there. A lot of empty space, rattles around, just doesn't slide into my shelving nice. Because it's not a case designed for that mixer. It's a general purpose case. And sure, if you're going to shove a bunch of other stuff in the case, fine. But for me, I just keep the mixers in there. I don't like the mixers jumbling around. That's where, Mackie just makes good cases. And talking about manufacturers not making things. Yorkville came out with a little battery-powered 8-inch top and a battery-powered dual 8 sub. And I saw it and I was like, my curiosity is piqued. I would like to buy that and test it out because I've been in the market for some sort of battery-powered speaker, and I like that they have a battery-powered sub option. But scouring their website, could not find a case for either. I'm thinking, I rent stuff out. I need cases for my stuff. Otherwise, it's going to look like shit in no time. Even left a message on their Facebook. No reply. Yorkville, get it together. Anyways. Well, Yorkville, get it together and make some cases. And message me back, sons of bitches. Anyways, moving on. I think one of the first videos I ever made on this channel was of the Mackie ProFX8v2. And if you haven't watched that video, I liked the mixer. I had 4 of them, but I have had 3 of them die. But it was over quite a long time. A lot of rental history, a lot of using them myself. And the only thing that really went out was the gain knobs. And I don't know if it was the gain knob going out or if it was the preamp. I'm not sure where the preamp is. I think it was the knob itself, though, because I basically would run into it where it'd start to go out, and I'd have to have more and more gain on the knob. Maybe that is the preamp. I don't know. I am not a take it apart, mess with the circuitry kind of repair tech. I do simple repairs, so that's out of my realm of capabilities. I actually even bought a new replacement gain knob and was gonna solder it in. Took the board apart, started soldering, completely fucked the whole thing up, and it wound up in the dumpster along with the other 2. So 3 of them just wound up in the dumpster. But that was my only gripe with the version 2 of these was the gain knobs. But like I said, a lot of rental use, a lot of use by myself. Not horrible that they eventually failed, in my opinion. Although somebody did comment on my YouTube video and say the knob was probably just dirty, which I don't know. I can't go back and clean them now to see. But it is possible, I've had faders act funky. Spray them with some fader cleaner, fader lube, and they start to work fine. So perhaps if I sprayed this, maybe it was just dirty. Maybe somebody was spilling stuff on it and got dust and gunk built up in there and just needed a little fader lube sprayed on it, twist it around 90 times and loosen it right up. I have no idea. But anyways, I've had this for about a year. It's not in, well, I just put it in rental inventory. This one was my personal one. Probably going to buy another one, though. But this one's in rental inventory now. So then I'm going to order another one, have 2 of them in rental inventory. But ever since I started renting out the Stage Pass systems that have a mixer with them, just standalone mixers don't go out a whole heck of a lot anymore. So primarily this will be for my use. But enough about the old mixer. You might be wondering why I went with the V12 instead of the V8. And that is simply because of the IEC. Anything smaller than this one now has a little circular plug. Doesn't have an internal power supply. Has the external brick with a little circle. Not a fan of that when it comes to this kind of stuff. I've said it before, like my American Audio VMS 4.1, I bet I bought half a dozen replacement adapters for that stupid thing because the little circle plug, they're just not that reliable. But comparison between V2, V3, you'll notice the graphic EQ is gone. The V2 had a 7-band graphic EQ, which in my opinion was pretty much useless. I think that's why they took it out. Not a fan of 7-band graphic EQs. The only thing I could potentially see it being worthwhile for is if you are using a floor monitor, you could engage the graphic EQ to EQ the wedge instead of the mains. And with that, the 7-band graphic EQ will let you contour the sound. You could roll off the lows. Although I think the bottom band was 250, so you might be rolling it off a little high if you're trying to compensate for ground coupling in a wedge. But it is possible. But that's about all I would use it for. I mean, me personally, I didn't use it for anything. I kept it flat the whole time. Not my favorite feature, and I'm glad they got rid of it. They did expand the effects section a little bit on this one, and there is a new effect, number 12, called Delay plus Reverb, which is my personal favorite. It's the only one I use on here. And it reminds me of what I do on an X32, which basically I use a slap delay on vocals that I tap in. You can't tap it in on this, but I tap it in on the X32. And then I do use a nice vocal reverb as well. And I kind of use those in tandem. Sometimes I use a different delay depending upon the song, but those are kind of my standard vocal effects that I use. And here you get kind of the, you know, quick and dirty version of that with the delay plus reverb. So I do like that. It's good for karaoke shows. Definitely a plus. Also on this one, being as it's the 12 channel, I'm not sure if the new 8 channel has compressors or not, but this one does have 4 channels with compressors on it, which I have mixed feelings about it. It's nice that they're there. I do leave them on. I'll actually say my my mixing strategy, I don't know if you can see this very well. Whoop, there's the compressors. My mixing strategy is to kind of have the compressors up at noon to start and then gain up the person. And that's just because, you know, you don't have much you can do with a one knob compressor. And sometimes I feel like if, say you're not gaining the person up right under the red, like, you know, right up to where it's just about to clip, you know, I don't usually gain people that high, especially in karaoke, because you don't know if one singer is going to be quiet, the next one's going to be really loud. So I don't gain it super hot right up under the limiter or right up under the clip light. So what winds up happening is if I gain myself up or gain up a karaoke singer, and then say I get a really loud one, right? And I'm like, oh, I gotta engage the compressor. Well, it seems like the gain, makeup gain kicks in before the compressor starts clamping it down. So I almost feel like I push myself into feedback easier with a one knob compressor, where if I had complete control, you know, I would squash the vocal and then maybe pull up some makeup gain to even it out. But with one knob, I just feel like it kicks up the gain first before squashing the vocal, and I'm just not a huge fan of that. So, well, not a huge fan of that, and I feel like it's tough to gain somebody up and then add in the compressor. I almost prefer to have the compressor already on and then gain them up. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm weird. You know, I would say definitely not what you're supposed to do. You know, gain based on a compressor. But for me and the analog board, it seems to work. It works better than gaining and then adding compressor, because then I just run into feedback issues. But other than that, one thing I would say I kind of wish it had, it's only got one mixed out on this one. Kind of wish it had two monitor sends instead of just one. You know, it's got a subgroup. I don't really use the subgroup. Let's see here. Is there anything else I should say about this thing? Indifferences, going back and forth. I think that's really about it. Oh, I know. They went to a headphone jack, which is okay. I do like that the headphone jack is actually on a channel, but I kind of miss the tape in. Having RCAs as well would have been nice. You know, and they could have put the headphone jack here and 2 RCAs here, you know, just to have the option. And I think that definitely would have been a little bit of icing on the cake, because, you know, when I'm throwing chords in, it's just nice if I don't always like to have to throw in, you know, 3 different types of aux cords just in case, because I don't know what mixer you might be getting. So I like when things have RCA ends. Big reason why I like the Electro Voice ELX 200 series. They have RCAs on the back, where a lot of people are just doing headphone jacks. And while the headphone jack is okay, just wish it had RCAs as well. But it is nice that it's actually on a channel this time, so you can EQ. Before I would aux in through the tape in, which the tape in was just a knob on the V2. No EQ control, you know, no panning. You couldn't send it to a monitor, none of that. So, I mean, it is nice this way. If you're doing tracks, you can, you know, go in on the channel, send it to your monitors, you know, do all that kind of stuff. So not horrible. Just wish they would have comboed it with RCAs so you had a little bit more option. It also does have stereo 1/4-inch ends, which I've used those before as well. But sometimes, you know, I'm digging around in my tote and I'm like, all I see is the headphone to RCA. Nope. And I actually sent this out with somebody and gave them... What did I give them? No, never mind. I sent them out with my Yamaha and gave them the wrong aux cord. Happens both ways. See, that's the issue. And on some you've got an aux in that's RCAs. On others you've got an aux in that's headphone. Anyways, they ended up just swooping back by the shop and grabbed the right cord. But you got to be careful with that. And I wish aux ins were just a little bit more universal. I mean, granted, there's basically 3 types: either a headphone jack, RCAs, or dual quarter. I just would like it if it had all of the above. But it's okay. Sound quality wise, I think it's just fine. I have no issues with the sound quality. I think it sounds good. I think it's easy to use. And I think the Mackie just acts like I would expect a mixer to act. And maybe that's just because I've been using Mackie mixers for such a long time. But when I went from the ProFX8 to a Yamaha mixer and tried to use that for a karaoke show, I just felt like my gain structure, like the gain knobs were just different. They have a pad button, and it felt like, you know, lighter singers, I'd have to have the pad off and the gain turned up, and then all of a sudden I'd get a loud singer and I'd be clipping and I'd be like, and then I gotta hit the pad button and turn the gain down. It just felt like I was going back and forth with the gain a lot. Whereas on here, you know, there's no pad button. It literally just is, you know, what is it, -20 to +40. Although if it's a mic, it does say unity to +60. So that must be the difference between, I'm gonna tell you the truth here, I did not read the manual, but I'm going to guess that is the difference between the 1/4-inch and the mic inputs, is the difference in gain. That's my guess. Don't quote me on that, because I did not read the manual. But I don't remember if the ProFX8 had a red light next to the brake button. This does. And I did run into one rental customer where they accidentally hit the brake button and wondered why only the music through the tape in was working. And that could be one issue here too. The tape in would still work with the brake button on, so if you were playing background music, doing an acoustic show, playing brake music through the tape in, you could hit the brake button, kill all your inputs, but you'd still have your background music. Now with the line in being on a channel on this one, if you hit the brake button, Does it kill channel 11 and 12 as well? I would guess so, but I haven't personally done that, so I'm not 100% sure. But, you know, there's no other in since it does not have the tape in, tape out. But yeah, general thoughts on this mixer. Yes, I do recommend it. I think it just kind of works how I would expect it to. Like, you know, I kind of said that what was going on with me in the Yamaha, and maybe I just needed to use the Yamaha more and get a better grasp of the subtle nuances of how the gain worked and just mixing in general. But it just, the Yamaha to me just did not feel right. And I'm a Yamaha fan. I like Yamaha speakers. Well, the TF series of digital mixer, I used to own one. Sometimes I think about buying one again, but I'm not a huge fan of one knob. Like, I like to have knobs for each thing so I can quick move around. I don't like to have to knob, knob, tap, knob, knob, tap, knob, knob, tap, knob, knob, tap. I like lows, highs, mid, you know. I like to be able to just move my hand around to the different knobs, so wasn't a huge fan of the TF series. They're nicer mixers, very popular. I would love to have a CL mixer, but a little out of my price range for what I do. But I like their speakers. I like their higher end mixers. Boy, that's about it. I don't like their lower end mixers. Anyways, I like Yamaha stuff. Not a fan of their mixers that much. Not that I would say don't get a Yamaha mixer. It just doesn't seem to work how I would like it to work. The Mackie just seems to work how I like it to work and how I expect it to work, and they work good. So if I was to recommend any analog mixer out there to anyone, it would be this guy right here. And I will tell you, I have a love-hate relationship with Mackie. Yeah, start calling it Mackie. I like the look of their gear. I like the way it works. You know, like you look at the, what did I have? The DLM? Is that what I had? Jeepers, I just made a video on it and I sold it and I already lost it in my head. DRM, I think. I liked all the inputs and outputs in the back. I like the look of their speakers. I feel like certain things are well thought out with the way they do stuff, but sometimes I just feel like the quality is not quite there. They make really good bags. I like their mixers. Their speakers, like I like the SRM Flex. I think the SRM Flex is one of the best looking compact column arrays out there. The way they implemented the digital mixer, I think is perfect. The app is awesome. I think it gives you just the amount of control you want, and having the continuous spin knobs with the digital interface instead of having an analog knob and then you change something on the app and the analog knob is still there. Like, I'm not a fan of that, and that's how RCF does it. That's how Yamaha does it. Like, I like the way that Mackie implements it, but then when you go and you compare the SRM Flex to like a Bose Pro 8, the Bose Pro 8 just annihilates the Mackie speaker. Like, even though they're rated at the exact same SPL level, you're talking 30% louder on the Bose, clearer at those louder volumes, mind you, and the Mackie just craps out. I like the look of their stuff. I think they do a really good job of designing the look of their gear, the inputs, outputs, how things work, but sometimes the quality is just not there. I think on their mixers, I think they do a good job, and I think the quality is there. But on the speaker end, you know, the SRM Flex was $9.99, and that's when I bought it. Now, granted, I got dealer pricing on it, so I think I paid $7 something for it. But, you know, within a year, they dropped it down to $7.99. Had they put better drivers in it, EQ'd the system a little bit better, would they have had to knock the price down? I feel like $30 more. I mean, little 2-inch speakers are not expensive. You know, so if you're talking each little 2-inch driver in there cost them $2 to throw it in there, put a $4 driver in there. And don't put 6, put 8. Put 8 of them in there if that's what it takes to get the crossover down a little bit. But I don't want to just talk about speakers here because I'm here to talk about a mixer. I just get a little riled up and sidetracked. But Mackie, I like your stuff. I like your cases. I like your designs. Just put a little bit better quality into this stuff. That's all I'm saying. Not into this thing. This thing seems fine. Put better quality in your speakers. All right, rant over. I think I have nothing left to say. If you have any questions, throw it down in the comments section. Until next time, have a good day.